Many Transformers fans were initially drawn to the film when it debuted on the big screen, or they grew up watching the live-action versions. Love them or hate them, the majority of moviegoers who have watched every film have a personal best to worst list in their minds, evaluating each one according to their own standards. This is my personal ranking list. The Transformers, the movie, 1986. As the conclusion of the G1 cartoon series, the first Transformers movie was released on August 8, 1986, and it still has the touch and plenty of laser ammunition to break hearts, including our own. With good cause, it became a cult classic after offending ardent fans with its plot and horrific deaths. Its daring creative leaps today seem more valued and demonstrate that large IP holders once weren't scared to let the past die and go into the unknown, even if the film was obviously intended to be a business-driven update for the toy line. Transformers, 2007. Just to be clear, I prefer DOTM to the 2007 Transformers film. However, you have to give it credit where credit is due, because it was the film that introduced the series to the realm of live-action films and was so popular that it is still being produced 16 years later. Indeed, there were fandom segments who cried, "Michael Bay raped my childhood," and what a dumb platitude it was. Even now, you can find social media groups that declared after the first live-action film that they would never see another one, or that anything that wasn't strictly G1 was an abomination. I tell these folks that once they have shut themselves off to fresh ideas, they will stagnate, and the franchise they seem to love will do the same. Nothing will ever be able to fully capture the enchantment I experienced when I first saw Blackout change. Regarding Optimus changing from a truck to a robot, I had to cover my mouth to contain a small cry of happiness. Even though it wasn't G1, the Transformers were finally done in live action, and they weren't messing around. A lot of the movie's aesthetics were criticized by the G1er in me. Ironhide and Ratchet were the wrong hue, Megatron and Starscream were as ugly as sin, and so on. You spent a lot of this film wondering, when are the robots going to come back? And that's when they were on screen. They certainly appeared to take a back seat a lot of the time for a film like Transformers. The people? They weren't that horrible, other than consuming excessive amounts of screen time. Neither Sam nor his mother had gone nuts yet. The film's humorous highlights were her brief appearances. For someone who the male audience was largely meant to swoon over, Michaela was a rather strong character. Lennox and his team tried their best to avoid being basic jarheads, which actually helped the plot along. Yes, Transformers 2007 had many flaws, but it deserves praise for introducing Transformers to the general public and providing the series a huge boost that continues to this day. Transformers: The Revenge of the Fallen, 2009. After the successful first film, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen took a completely new approach. Fundamentally, the first film told the tale of a youngster and his vehicle. Although the youngster in LaBeouf returned in the sequel, the action was considerably more of the main attraction. The Fallen, an ancient Decepticon that seeks to wipe out the sun and all life on Earth, is a formidable Transformers villain that is introduced in this film. The idea may have been a good sequel to Transformers and an epic science fiction film, but the excessive use of computer graphics, product promotion, and action overwhelmed any narrative. The use of Megan Fox as little more than a sex symbol was another criticism leveled at the film, and this objectification of women persisted throughout the Bay era of the franchise. Although parts of the action scenes were shot with IMAX cameras, which indeed look amazing, the effect would have been greater if viewers were involved in the story. The comedic relief provided by the racially offensive addition of Skids and Mudflap to the Transformers cast was another significant issue with the film. The film won 3 Razzies, including Worst Director, and received 1 Oscar nomination for sound mixing. Transformers: Dark of the Moon, 2011. Alright, let's move on to the more exciting stuff, DOTM. In my view, keep in mind that these are merely my views. However, they are amazing because they belong to Mgaviv, us an exciting and action-packed film with battling bots destroying everything in their way, bringing Transformers back from the depths that ROTF sent it plummeting into. This movie provided you with an epic conflict where Chicago was torn to pieces as the bots and cons face off against one another. It wasn't a street brawl with a dozen bots or a skirmish in the Qatari desert. This film featured a well-developed plot that seemed to stay on course and advance at a steady pace. It wasn't slow enough to tire you or hectic enough to cause you to lose the story. The humans were at least bearable, most of them, but Sam's mother had changed from being funny to being unsettling, and that bathroom scene was just plain strange. The appearance of the wreckers, buildings collapsing over from some bidrill thingy, and Optimus having his trailer are all advantages. Toto murdered several children, and Laserbeak also changed into a pink version of Bee. Boys and girls, you have a legitimate action movie, Dad. Was the film flawless? Oh yeah, that's why it's at number 4. Sam is still acting like a crazy person, bouncing around while wearing a con watch. As evidenced by the wreckers tearing an enemy limb from limb and Optimus killing both Megs and Sentinel at the end of the film, despite Sentinel's pleas for mercy, the Autobots are far more vicious than the Decepticons. Since Wheeljack appeared to be Einstein reanimated as a robotic skeleton, we may all thank the powers that be for choosing to create him instead of Shockwave, who is incredibly underutilized for such a significant character. Notwithstanding these criticisms, the film was quite fantastic, and, at the very least, it eliminated many of the older bots so that we could enjoy some new ones in the future. Transformers: Age of Extinction, 2014. Old-school Transformers enthusiasts were thrilled when Transformers: Age of Extinction was revealed. This is because the prospect of seeing Grimlock on a large screen was thrilling, and the Dinobots were on the horizon. What transpired, nevertheless, was an overly bloated film. The introduction of numerous human adversaries in the plot frequently overshadowed the Dinobots' presence. As a renegade government official, Kelsey Grammer led a CIA Black Ops unit that hunts down and eliminates all Transformers, including Decepticons and Autobots. Wahlberg replaced LaBeouf as the new star. However, a generic, single father who wants to protect his daughter theme took the place of the well-liked boy and his car tale. Furthermore, the rogue government operatives appeared less than intelligent as the new villains after collaborating with a Decepticon in Lockdown, and then exploiting Megatron's brain patterns to create a new robot weapon. Although the Dinobots looked fantastic, the film relied too much on action, a problem that has consistently afflicted the franchise. Despite earning $1 billion at the box office, the film received 2 Razzie Awards out of 7 nominations. The Last Night, 2017. The Last Night is essentially more of the same after Age of Extinction's drab refresh of the tale. It's awesome to watch Bumblebee and Arthurian Transformers hunting Nazis. With an abundance of ideas and scenarios that would drive most screenwriters out of a meeting, this live-action Transformers film never slows down. Rather, Paramount and Bay became a little self-conscious and embraced the insane ridiculousness of it all. Its poorest elements are the still lengthy runtime, a boatload of major retcons, and a mainly dull, albeit less bloated cast of human characters. Additionally, there was no compelling reason to bring back John Turturro and Josh Duhamel. However, it is evident that Sir Anthony Hopkins thoroughly enjoyed his sequences, which frequently resemble fever dreams. Bumblebee, 2018. It was immediately apparent from Cybertron's opening sequence that Bumblebee would be entirely different from the Bay films. With a fresh appearance of the Transformers that feels more true to their roots, it appeared to be a scenario from one of the vintage cartoons. The human characters in Bumblebee, however, are what truly make the film unique. Charlie, played by Haley Steinfeld, has a compelling personality, an intriguing past, and is a truly strong character. The affectionate bond she cultivates with Bumblebee is evocative of E.T. Although there isn't as much action as in the other movies, director Travis Knight does a fantastic job of keeping the key characters at the center of the action and making sure everything is obvious. Bumblebee is one of the best Transformers movies to date, since it has more focused action, a good narrative, and better human characters. Transformers: Rise of the Beast, 2023. The sequel to Bumblebee takes the story from the 1980s to the 1990s and functions as a sort of sequel and relaunch rather than carrying on the original plot. The 1994 film centers on aspiring arch-bestest Elena Wallace, Dominique Fishback, and Noah Diaz, Anthony Ramos, a former military electronics specialist. They discover the Transwarp Key, a Cybertron artifact that can open time and space portals and assist the Maximals under Optimus Primal, Ron Perlman, and the Autobots, under Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen, in retrieving the key. The key is also sought by the evil Terracons, who are led by Scourge, Peter Dinklage. The Beast Wars subplot franchise, which debuted with Transformers that transform into animals rather than vehicles, served as the model for Rise of the Beasts. In my opinion, Rise of the Beasts is a passable blockbuster with lots of action. But like the other films in the series, it frequently relies too heavily on computer-generated imagery, which could turn off viewers. Although Rise of the Beasts contains a few instances of the comedy found in the Bay-directed films, primarily thanks to Mirage, Pete Davidson, it never comes across as unduly crude and childish. The plot's old conspiracy element is simpler than in the previous films. Known for his parts in the musicals Hamilton and In the Heights, Ramos also proves to be a surprising action hero. Transformer 1, 2024. The entertaining journey directed by Josh Cooley transports viewers to the early years of Optimus and Megatron, or as they were known in their youth, Orion Pax, played by Chris Hemsworth, and D-16, played by Brian Tyree Henry, as they journey from being best friends to fierce rivals. In a film with heart, humor, some difficult emotions, and lots of Easter eggs, the twosome, who are humble Energon miners in Cybertron who are unable to change like their peers, go out to find the fabled matrix of leadership with friends B-127, Keegan-Michael Key, and Elita 1, Scarlett Johansson. I've just lately ventured outside of my childhood passion for Michael Bay movies and toys, but it truly struck me when I learnt about Optimus Prime and Megatron's beginnings on Cybertron. Remember how two people came together despite their differences in the last entry? Despite their biggest similarities, the two best friends end up becoming each other's worst foes in this movie. To be honest, I sobbed uncontrollably. I give this stunning work of animation 5 stars, since no other Transformers movie has yet to evoke such a powerful emotion in me. I'll just write my favorite statement from this franchise to wrap things up, and perhaps you'll understand what I'm thinking. I am directly below the enemy's scrotum, from worst to finest. How would you rank the 9 Transformers films? Just like me, or just like someone else? Post your list in the space provided for comments below. To learn more about your favorite movies, quickly turn on the notification bell icon, hit the like and share button. Thanks for watching.